Welcome back, AMFishers. I'm Georgopoulos, the host of the AMFisH fishing blog series. You can probably tell if I turn a little bit. It's pretty windy out here, dealing with maybe a 6 to 8 inch swell, battling it in my kayak, which hasn't been a lot of fun. But I thought it'd make for a good video on windy days like this. So as you can see, I'll try and pan around the best I can with my camera and my kayak. I'm in an open stretch here in the middle of the lake. Islands go around there, and it's pretty much open water from end to end. Nothing down the center core here, and again, I'll try and turn. There's absolutely nothing in the middle here. So there's a good wind just packing heat down the center of this lake. And I thought I'd do a video on it because when it's windy like this, you may be fishing an area. I'm going to go over there and actually fish that shoreline. But when wind is howling like this, or just coming, pretty strong, relentless all day, you got to keep a lot of things in mind when it comes to fishing. Example, bait fish feed is going to move. So whatever bait fish are feeding on, whether it's plankton or little tiny bait fish, it'll end up being moved. Currents pick up, wind picks up, which means the bait fish are going to follow that their food source, which also in turn means the fish are going to follow the bait fish. So sitting out here in this gusty middle part of the lake, casting and hoping for the best is really not going to do any wonders for me, especially on a windy day like this. I'm better to just kind of coast with the wind, maybe tuck into some of these islands or shore and cast a shoreline, because like I said, the wind is kind of across directional right now. It's coming dead center down the lake, but it's also coming from the left a little bit. That's why I'm constantly battling my kayak in the video. But when the wind, like I said, I've fished a good river system a couple of weeks back, and no one was catching fish in the normal spots that we catch fish, because there was a current coming down, a very strong current coming down a mini little falls that was there, and it was just relentless. I mean, I could stay still for 5 seconds and I'd be 150 feet that way. That's how strong that current was. But everything moved. There weren't any bait fish, there weren't any fish, species, predator fish to be found anywhere. And I had a few people ask me, wondering if it was going to be a dead day. And I said, you know what, you're going to have to just go with the wind and go further out until you find that spot where the wind kind of dies down. And that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to drift along these shorelines, potentially maybe even just drift straighter here, because it looks like the wind's a lot calmer there once we get to that island, which it will be. And that's maybe where some of the bait fish feed has actually ended up. That's where some of the bait fish have ended up. And some of the actual predator fish have now followed that. Keep in mind, if you do fish for species like pike or muskie, they'll move across the lake just for oxygen. They'll move across to follow better feed, stuff like that. So, they've got a pretty big range on a lake. A bass, most of the time, will have, a few hundred yards of a range away from shore and back, typically. Depending again on where you live and the waters that you fish. But keep that in mind. When the wind picks up, it can actually be a really good, a good fishing day. Casting with the wind, don't bother casting into it. You're going to get yourself a lot of backlashing and stuff like that. But just drift with the wind, allow the wind to kind of take you, and cast with it when you find that kind of windy part and it starts to kind of die down. So you position yourself in that area, and you can have a lot of success. Like I said, there's no point in fishing. There's no point in me fishing back there where that bridge is, way back there, and I don't know if I'll be able to get it on camera, but it's a bridge way back there. I just came from back there and it was blowing relentlessly. So I did a few casts, there was nothing. I didn't even see any bait fish, which is why I've kind of just drifted. And now I'm kind of on this slower drift here because I'm getting closer to this island. But this is kind of, these are the kind of videos that I'm liking these days to put out there, because it does help people figure things out. And you may try it the next time you're out and kind of say, you know what, it's very windy. I saw one of his videos and it actually kind of made sense to move to the calmer part where it's kind of calm and windy. And you might find yourself some fish. Again, these are just things that I learned through my years of fishing, and I'm trying to pass them on to everybody out there in hopes that you have success catching fish. So keep that in mind. Windy days are going to result in some white caps or some small waves, large waves. It's also going to result in currents changing and winds changing direction, which means bait fish feed moves, bait fish move, fish follow the bait fish. Again, it's a pretty simple rule there of how everything kind of works and channels itself. So hopefully you found this video helpful, guys. Tight lines, and I'll see you at my next video.